Hi YouTube. It's Poetic Sparkles. I'm actually really happy to be here. It's been so long. Being in this space on this platform is scarier than it should be for me. And I'm not quite sure why. I think I'm just so used to creating shorter form short form content, that making longer form content just seems a bit scary. But either way, I'm happy to be here. It's good to see you again. I'm at the studio. It's crazy to think that I'm actually running this space. Just looking back how my career has panned out, it's really interesting that there is literally no blueprint for being a creative person. You just go where your passion takes you. And so far, my passion has taken me places. First, I started off as a photographer and just really loving photography, really wanting to create photos that look interesting, pictures that tell a story, photos that can communicate a message, to then like falling in love with videography. And then I started offering it as a service and serving people in that space. And then I was like, you know what? How can I actually scale this as a business? My fear or my worry was that I didn't want to be having to take photos every single day for me to make a living. And because I'm quite business minded, it made sense for me to actually put a structure in place, a structure around my photography. And I decided to go down the studio owner route, which has paid off actually. I still shoot, like I still take photographs, but I'm more so managing the space now and then teaching and training other creative entrepreneurs how to be really solid professionals, especially photographers. I have a lot of photography folks, a lot of photographers that work in the studio, and a lot of them had studied photography at university, but then they come into the studio and they're like, oh, poetic, like, how do you set up this light? Or like, poetic, what does this thing on my camera mean? So, I mean, it was a bit baffling to me that it is possible to have studied photography and not really have much idea about taking photos. Baffled me. So now in my career, I'm just shifting towards the business side of things and understanding the photography business and the photography industry, and really learning that where the money is at is not really where you think it's at. I ventured out a little bit. I opened a podcast studio recently, and that was a leap for me because a lot of people actually thought my content was a podcast, and it wasn't. It was a web series, or it is a web series, but I get why they would think it's a podcast. And so I guess, I don't know, logic. I put two and two together and I decided that it would make sense if I created a podcast studio, because if someone in the city wanted to film a video like mine, it would make sense for them to come into a space that's well equipped for them to do that. And the reason why I opened a separate space for the podcast studio was because the photography studio is usually set up for photographs, and in the area where it's at, you get a lot of loud noises, which was going to be an issue if you're filming like audio. So I wanted to take it a little bit out of town, because the photography studio is literally bang in the middle of town. I wanted to take it a little bit out of town, somewhere that was a bit quieter, so that even if I didn't want to soundproof the space, even if I didn't want to treat the sound, I don't know, if I didn't want to put like acoustic panels up, it would still be functional. So I did that, and so far so good. I'm not gonna lie, I thought because I had already set up this photography business and this photography company that setting up another company would be like bread and butter because I've done it once before. I could do it again, surely. It was definitely a learning curve. I mean, I encountered issues and problems that I didn't face when I was setting the photography studio up, which was interesting. So it meant that when I got the keys for the commercial property, for the podcast studio, I didn't start utilizing the space for about 3 or 4 months. So the space was literally just not catching dust, but we were doing a lot of things behind the scenes, trying to set up the website and then trying to get it on Google Maps and trying to like reel in customers and things like that. So it sat empty for a little bit. And then also I underestimated the cost of all the podcasting equipment because I mean, if you're coming into a podcast studio, you would expect to see like super high quality stuff, and obviously that costs money. So this is like purely self-funded. I didn't like get a grant or didn't get a loan or anything like that. So things are a little bit slower. And then outside of like photography stuff, I also have other investments. I'm really into real estate, so I've been building the portfolio on that end. So there's literally like a lot of billings in like a short amount of space, and I just had to prioritize things. So now that the podcast studio is up and running, I am a little bit more relaxed, but I'm still in my creative bag. I don't know. I don't want to ever stop calling myself a creative, but I think right now in this phase of my career, I am more of a businessman, a businesswoman, whatever you want to call it. I'm definitely more into like thinking strategically, and just thinking about how I can be of service to more and more people. And then obviously still creating my content on Instagram, which is where I like sit on most of the time, and TikTok as well. And kind of encroaching now the YouTube space, which is exciting. I don't know. I'm just going to try and keep it as normal as me as I possibly can. I'm not a, what's the word? Like, I'm not a kind of person. I don't even know what that is. Bloody hell. Like, I'm a pretty chilled babe. So a lot of my content is probably going to be like talking heads and stuff. My day today is really, really hectic. So I can't even vlog anything. Before I even have time to turn on the camera, I'm already on the call to a client like, hello, what's up? How can I help? All this other stuff. So this is me, man. It's been a really interesting journey so far. Like I said, I'm still in the studio shooting sometimes, but I don't really shoot as often as I used to be because now we have quite a few photographers who pick up the shoots. And I'm hoping that I can actually build the business to the point where I can possibly sell it off one day when I'm ready to kind of hop onto my next venture. The thing about starting a business or the thing about being an entrepreneur, it's probably not going to be like once you start your first thing and you are pretty successful in that, you're probably going to go off and do another thing. So I don't know, maybe that's just me. I just feel like the way, even now how I'm thinking, oh, this is a good idea, maybe I should start this up. I just know that after some years, I'm going to shift focus, and I'm okay with that. I just don't want to shift focus and completely neglect what I've built. Like, I want to be able to build it up to the point where it's passable. Like, I want to be able to transfer it, and whoever has it is flourishing and making a profit and all this other stuff. So yeah, man, that's been my creative journey so far. Maybe I'll go into depth into it at some point, but yeah, that's me. Subscribe, please. I mean, you don't have to. If you want to sit here and listen to me chat, then feel free to subscribe. And also follow me on Instagram and TikTok because that's where I share a lot of my like day-to-day stuff. So yeah, man. All right. Catch you later. Mwah.